The Prime Minister is choosing his words carefully when asked about President Trump and Iran. Mark Carney says Canada respects the rule of law, but the federal government is also mindful of not antagonizing the White House. The CBC's Karina Roman is on the story. She joins us now live from our Ottawa bureau. So, Karina, what is the Prime Minister saying about the President's latest verbal attacks, his threats to Iran's very existence?
He was asked quite specifically what he would say to Donald Trump, what his thoughts were on Trump threatening to eliminate a civilization. Carney, the Prime Minister, was careful to avoid commenting on what that could mean, how serious the world should take that. He was careful not to admonish the president in any way for using such inflammatory language. He didn't even go as far as to plead for de-escalation, or call for de-escalation at least. But what he did say is that Canada expects all the parties in the conflict to respect international law and the rule of engagement. He says that means not targeting civilians, not targeting civilian infrastructure. And then he went on to say this.
There is often a gap between what's said publicly and what's happening privately. We are not at the center of those negotiations, although we have some visibility to them. However they unfold in the coming hours, in the coming days, the coming weeks, those negotiations, those discussions, those movements, those international responsibilities, those humanitarian responsibilities remain for all parties throughout that period.
Now, I should point out that the Prime Minister was asked this and said this before there were reports, specifically from the New York Times, saying that Iran has stopped the negotiation efforts with the U.S. But Carney was also asked, of course, based on everything that we've seen over the last 5-6 weeks, if he now regrets expressing initial support for the war at its outset. Considering, and he was asked this specifically too, you know, Trump began this whole thing, this whole war by talking about freeing Iranian people, and now he's threatening to actually wipe them out. So Carney reiterated what he has said before, that his support at the beginning was for the objective of ensuring Iran never got a nuclear weapon, that the regime is one of the largest state sponsors of terrorism in the region, pointing out that it was responsible for the downing of the Ukrainian airliner in 2020, killing many Canadians aboard that. So then he went on to this.
This was the first point that we were making, was the desirability of the ending of both that state-sponsored terrorism and the nuclear ambitions of Iran. That remains the case. It has always been the case, though, that Canada makes a distinction, a fundamental distinction, as others do, between those objectives and obligations under international law and the respect for human rights.
The thing is, Andrew, he says it's always been the distinction and it's always been the case. And he might say that what he meant all of that in his first message when the war first started. But that's not what many Canadians, people around the world, took from his very first message about the war. They didn't see those distinctions at that time that he says always existed. So since that first message of support, it has been clarified by the Prime Minister several times, including today.
And there were also some questions about the impact of the war on Canadians and the affordability crisis. Just the idea, you know, that this country produces about 5 million barrels of oil a day. So people kind of wonder, if we produce so much, why is it so costly at the pump? I guess we get it that it's a world set price, but people have been wondering about that kind of thing.
Well, yeah, they are, and that's why he was asked that question about why Canada is seeing skyrocketing prices for fuel and gas when we, you know, yes, we're subject to the global market and it is a global commodity, but you know, he did explain that in his answer, and then he went on to say that it's a question really of how to cushion the blow for Canadians, and that is something the government is thinking of, looking towards. He has mentioned in the past that there is a fiscal update, spring fiscal update coming. Perhaps we'll see measures there that will help Canadians deal with the spiraling cost of gas, especially if those prices persist. But it should be noted that update might not come until May or even June, so Canadians might have to wait to see what that relief might look like.
Karina, thank you. CBC's Karina Roman, live in Ottawa.